I give the floor to nobody less than Ernst Nathorst-Böös of Propellerhead.
Is this my clicker?
Yep, that's your clicker.
So, yeah, I'm the guy keeping you from the drinks. Sorry about that. Yes. I was invited here today, and I figured what I could do to contribute a little bit. And my idea was that I was going to go back and look at what we've done and see if I can come up with some patterns, some stuff that made us to what we are. So I'm going to try to give you a short recipe, not the recipe, but a short recipe for successful entrepreneurship. And I'll try to do it in 15 minutes. We'll see what works. But first, some background. Yes. The big guy up there is the troll. Trolls are not big on names, so he's just the troll. But there's one even more important character in this picture, is this guy. This is Småland, and his name is Ingvar. So which Ingvar? Thank you. So Ingvar is out walking in the forest of Småland. He runs into the troll. The troll is really upset because Ingvar's cut down all the pine trees to build Billy the bookshelf. And, you know, the first inclination for the troll is just to whack Ingvar over the head into the closest pine tree. But we know Ingvar can negotiate. So they start talking and they come up with a deal. And Ingvar is given two choices. There's some magic involved here. So choice A, Ingvar wakes up tomorrow morning. There are no IKEA furniture stores. They're all gone. No furniture, no nothing, no production. It's all gone, right? The other option, option B, all that stuff is still there, but in option B, no one's ever heard of IKEA, right? No one knows anything about flat packages or self-assembly or tag självlagret or gravlax, all that stuff, right? So he has to start building awareness again. So which does he choose? Can he lose the tactile stuff, or is it better to lose the other stuff? What do you say? The other stuff? Someone else? Okay. So this is not a trick question, and I don't know the answer, right? I don't think no one knows the answer. Maybe Ingvar, but he's not here. So, for me, it is an astonishing fact that it's a question even worth asking. Because on one hand, we have all those buildings and the furniture and stuff, everything that's in the, you know, the IKEA balance sheet that we'll never see. I mean, this stuff you can put on a scale and weigh it, and put a value by kilo if you want. And on the other hand, we have nothing. It's like an idea, or, you know, like universe is infinite or something. It's just an idea we have. We can't really understand it. And we can talk about these two things. And we can give a value to them, and we can balance that. And I think that's pretty incredible. So the word branding has been come up a couple of times this day. Someone said it was super important to have it from the beginning. I think someone else said it was not. You can bring it in afterwards. And for us, I mean, you know, we started this company a long time ago. We didn't have an idea about this. Most of the stuff I'm talking about is stuff that just happened, you know. If anyone tells you when they start a company, if they tell you 20 years later about all the plans they had and did, you know, they're lying. You know that. Okay? So that's sort of, I was going to take a little bit of that thought about branding and see how that relates to what we've been doing. But, of course, then I have to start talking about who we are. No? We'll try it again. Here it is. So, Propellerhead. No music. Could have been music here. Should we try it? Okay, never mind. We'll see. We might have a problem later in the presentation if I have no sound, but that's okay. So what we do is we make music software. What does that mean? I mean, how many of you know about our company at all? Raise a hand, please. Oh, here we go. How many recognize this song then? More people. We make music software, meaning that we make programs that people install on their computers when they want to make music. And one of our users is a guy called Adam Young. He's not really a band, but he calls himself Owl City. And he wrote, recorded, produced, and I think more or less mixed this song in his parents' basement using our software. So this is a typical setup. This is sort of a luxury setup. This guy's got 2 screens, so our stuff runs on the laptop, the computer you already have, And all you need is that computer and maybe a pair of speakers and something to bang on, a keyboard or some, similar. And you're on. Right? That's it. That's pretty cool. What we do is we've taken all the whole thing about the elaborate studio, the mixing console, the tape recorders, the instruments, all that stuff, and packed it down on a DVD. That's what we do from a really practical standpoint. And this is the brand, the main product brand. I really like Matthias' comment because we made exactly that mistake. We elevated the product brand over the company brand. So we now have a product brand that is stronger than the actual product brand, which is a company brand. And that's an expensive situation that we have to dodge every day. So, you can learn that from both Matthias and me. And the reason why I bring up the brand is because of this, which was in the presentation, right? Yeah, it's crazy every time. So these are people, right? These are our users that for some strange reason have decided that our product brand name is so important to them that they wanted to make it a permanent part of their bodies. We didn't encourage this. We didn't start it. We didn't do anything. It just happened, right? And now we can never change our logo too, so. But so, we try to think about this and then we try not to think about it because it's kind of crazy and you don't want to go wrong, but you can't help yourself trying to figure out what's going on. And the only thing I can come up with is that apparently we talked about, I think Matthias also talked about a promise. We made a promise to these people and it looks like we lived up to it. And the promise we're making, I know that part, that part I'm sure about, is the promise we're making that if you have creativity, talent, persistence, and you just get some of our stuff, you will be successful in music. Creativity, talent, persistence. It's all you need. You define success. We don't care about that. It could be like the #1 Billboard thing, like the Owl City, or it could just be just finishing one song. You define that. We don't care. But we'll try to be there along the way and help you and actually be successful. So we did a pretty good job of that. Seems like. And music is a pretty cool space to be in. For those of you who, maybe 1 or 2 people here grew up in Sweden in the 70s. I talked about creativity and talent and persistence, but the truth is you can get a really long way with just some persistence, right? So it's a good space to be in that way. A lot of people can be really creative. Okay, so what am I talking about here? I'm talking about, the word I want to put to this is mission. And here's the first ingredient in my little recipe. I say that if you want to have a really successful company, you have to have a mission. It's been touched upon before today. Just a great product isn't good enough. Just wanting to make them a lot of money is not good enough. You got to have a mission. So that's the bad news. I don't think you can sort of skip this step. The good news is that you probably already have it. Our mission, it was kind of simple for us, right? Because we said, we're just going to help people make great music. That's all we do. Might be harder, but I promise you it's there, and there are techniques to find it if you feel that you haven't really, figured out yet what your mission is. You just have that idea about the first product. But you can't skip this step. And okay, so this is on page 3 in any business textbook, right? No news. The thing that I found over the years is people talk about this, but they don't talk so much about why you need it and what you actually do with it. Why do you need a mission? And for me, it's you use it. What I say is you use it in decision making. Right? If you're successful, you're going to hire a lot of people. The people in your company are going to make hundreds, thousands of micro decisions every day that can be right or they can be wrong, and they can take your business further or they can take it backwards. And I say that having a strong mission and really understanding why your company is there, like I've sometimes said, why they shouldn't shoot you when the revolution finally comes that they've been talking about now for so long. Why shouldn't we be shot? Why should we exist? If you have that, that's going to make everything so much simpler. And if you're successful, like with some of these startups here we talked about today, have their first product. If you're successful, you will be at a point where you're going to say, okay, we've done this thing now. What now? What's next? Where do we go from here? And again, if you were on track from the beginning, this is going to be a big, big help. So I say you really need to have the mission, but again, you already have it. Second thing is, of course, you have to have something to sell to people, right? You need a product. This is our product. Easy, we design the software, we code it up, we test it, we put it in a box or put it up for download. So very simple. It can be a product or a service. And those of you who know me know that I can talk for a week about how to design high-tech products. And I'm not going to do that today because I only have 15 minutes that are, I don't know how far we are down, but I just want to say something. And when you think about your product, there's only one thing that I think is really, really important. And that is, please make it work. Especially in high tech. When I say work, I just don't mean fall apart or crash. I mean 4 things. So number 1, just make sure that it really, really fits a need that people actually have. It works from that aspect. Right? And 2, that the quality of the result, the thing it does, the thing that it delivers, is actually of really high quality to the user. And 3, that it's understandable, enjoyable, even fun to use. And the 4th thing is, of course, that it shouldn't fall apart or crash and burn or whatever, right? So, and I find it amazing. I mean, we can go out to On/Off or wherever and buy any of these high-tech products. And I don't think you find a lot of them that actually fulfill all these 4 criteria. Most of them get like 2. The good ones get 3. But if you can do that, only those 4 simple things. Sounds simple, but it's really, really hard. So that's the second part. Just one left now. Build a product, make it work from all aspects, all nuances of the word. Okay, so you built your product, you have your mission, everything's working. If you're successful, there's a blessing and a curse, because something will happen if you're successful. You will be copied. So friends of mine, wow, it's bouncing. Friends of mine over on the left, an American company called Line 6, they realized that what the world actually needed was an echo guitar pedal. You plug in your guitar, you play a little, and the sound that comes out is what you just heard. And this is special to guitarists. This is like fine wine. They made a really, really good one. So they were really successful with Echo Park. It's one of their most successful pedals. So what happens? They figured out, Line 6 figured out that if you want to have a good echo pedal, it should be green. Should have a mod, mix, repeat, time button, right? And the switches down there should have a nice black rubber pad to step on. So then, of course, some other company, a Chinese company, sort of German Chinese in this case actually, found out that yes, we can do an echo pedal. It's got a mod, it's got a mix, repeat, time, mod. This will happen. And it's half the price. So what do you do about this? Well, of course, you got to stay ahead of the race, and you got to build new products, and find new markets and all that. But there's one thing, the problem here is that they're not only going to copy your product. They're going to copy your mission. They're going to copy your vision for the company. They're going to copy your marketing. They might even copy your organization or your great idea about how to distribute your product. So what do you do? What was that? Sorry? Branding, yes. Yeah, I was going to tie back. I didn't do that because, of course, we're talking about branding here, and for me, branding is sort of. I talked about mission and product already, and both of that is both of those things are completely related to branding. You can't separate product from branding. Your product will be your brand. But in this case, my answer to this is that there's one thing that's completely unique when you build your company, and that is relations. Because it's the way the human brain works. You can't copy a relation. People will have a definite relation to you and your company and will be unique. And humans are strange creatures because we form relations to the weirdest things. It's obvious with kids. They'll have their teddy bear, but grown-ups. We have people talking to their computers. How do people feel about their cars, about football teams? Humans and animals, that's understandable. But why do we have this strong need to have relations with inanimate stuff and ideas? So I say, okay, build your relation. Because that's super important, and it's the only thing that can't be copied. Thank you, Numa, for letting me steal your idea here. How do you do that? Well, if any one of you here is married, it's a pretty common thing to have your spouse saying, we don't talk enough, right? Why do you want to talk? Because you want to have a strong relation. That's what it's all about. So communication is the word here. And when we started out a long time ago in the 90s, having a conversation with your users was really, really expensive. You had to print stuff on paper and go to trade shows and advertise. And the good news now is that it's free, right? Twittering or blogging doesn't cost you anything. It's really cool. The tough thing, though, is that everybody else is doing it too. So how do you do it? And I say, I'm actually saying in opposition to something I heard today, that this is something you need to start doing from day one. Super important to build a relation to your users immediately. And how do you do it? Well, it's in a way it's pretty simple. It's like the music thing. It's about creativity and talent and persistence. A lot of persistence. And if you don't have creative talent, you can find it somewhere, or you can be the Lill-Babs of social media. I think that it works. A lot of persistence works. For us now, you're young people. For you, it's obvious. We basically dropped all other marketing that we used to do and are now only doing social media. And just one example here is from our YouTube channel, which I think is pretty wild. I don't know if you can see, but the number here is over 6 million. So over 6 million people have gone to our YouTube channel and watched what is basically advertising. What they say now, people vote with their time, right? And still they do that. Why are they doing that? Why are they coming this and just letting us, waste their time with our advertising? And they do that because, and maybe it's easier for us than in some other situations, but again, people are really passionate about their music making. They invest a lot of time in learning, and we have and will continue to have a great opportunity to have a conversation, sort of, with them about their work. They're craving information, and what we're trying to do is just two really simple things. We try to give them as much communication as we can that is A, relevant, and B, honest. Relevant and honest. That's all it takes for us in our situation. This is Ad-Rock, Adam Horovitz from Beastie Boys. And I'm just going to show you 30 seconds of a video with him just so you can get a feeling for what kind of stuff it is we try to provide.
And so anyway, this is what I do when I'm making music, is I just kind of just fuck around with beats and then usually just pause for a while and say, wow, aren't computers cool? So then you got your little beat. To fill it out, then I use the re-drum. Then you add your kicks and snares. So see, I just do it all in here, and you can do your little bass sounds. Oh, okay, so the other one is this Thor thing. Like, Thor is crazy. I mean, that's the thing about Reason is it doesn't stop. It really doesn't stop.
Right. So, you know, anyone's interested in making beats or has ever heard of Beastie Boys or think that Adam is someone worth listening to. This is great information. It just goes on. He just talks about how he does his work. So that's one thing we try to do. So, yes, relations. Conversation. Call it what you want. I don't care. Just please do it, right? Don't think so much. A lot of companies make the mistake that they think too much about what they're saying. Don't do it. Just talk, you know. Keep talking to users, whatever channels you can. But try to be relevant and always be honest. Super, super important. And basically, that's it. Just 3 little parts.
I got a first question for you.
Okay.
You got the logo tattooed on your body?
I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Ah.
Because I know we'll change it. No.
Just to tease
I'm waiting
everybody
for
else.
version 7.
All right.
No.
Yeah. Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Questions from the audience? Can we have some little bit more light, please? We should see we have a lady over there. How do you work against piracy?
Oh, that's interesting. We've always had a pretty good copy protection. It's going back and forth because that's a race. So at sometimes we have a very strong copy protection, and sometimes it doesn't really work. You have to take a view. You know, it's there. It's one of the facts that you just have to live with. My recommendation is don't make it a moral issue. Just make it a practical issue if you can. The only time I'm upset is when I see people actually making money out of selling pirated copies of our programs. That sort of, you know, that makes me mad. But then again, I'm hearing people who make companies like whatever it's called, Smurfland or whatever it was called, and doing that kind of thing also makes me mad. So it's sort of the same thing, I think. But otherwise, take a view and live with it, I say. Yeah.
I have a question right there. Wait for the mic.
How do you compete against other music software like the Adobe Audition and others?
Adobe Audition is not even on the radar. We were number 2 in music software in the US in 2010, meaning that we by far, people really don't understand this in Sweden, that we by far beat companies like Apple, Steinberg, Ableton, Cakewalk, whoever. They say you're never a prophet in your home country. For us, that's a little bit true. But how do we do it? I think, again, back to Matthias, he said some really cool things about not having the most features and not having, you know, what he said about movies. We just try to build a thing that makes people make more and better music, and focus on that and not on technology. The technology is our problem, not the users. Make it work.
Questions? People get.
If you were number 2, what was the number 1?
Number 1 is a company called Avid. They have 2 brands. They call the one that they're taking away DigiDesign, but their main brand is something called Pro Tools. And they just completely overshadow everything that, you know, anything that anybody else is doing. You know, they're our Microsoft sort of kind of thing. Or not really Apple, but they're like our Microsoft 10 years ago.
So just a follow-up question. So basically, what would be the price difference between you and that number 1? I mean, to the consumer.
Oh, we're more expensive, actually. Yeah. I would say they have a range of stuff. They have a much bigger product catalog than we do. But you can get a Pro Tools system for less money than you can get our system. So I don't think that's the, you know, depending on what you go for, that would be a recommendation for anybody. I mean, you can build the cheapest product, you know, for a while, and then there'll be someone else who builds the cheapest product. It is a dead-end street. If you can do other things like, you know, work on your brand, find your target audience, work on design and do those kind of things, I think that that kind of strategy has a it's much more longevity than trying to be the price leader at all times, because there can be only one. You know, for all the others, you can segment up your market and you can at least own this market. If it's price, there can be only one. And if it's not you, you're losing out.
Where do you see the future, like say 10 years from now, when we have the music industry sort of more fragmented now it used to be?
I think the drive to create music is going to be pretty much the same. It's hard with music. Sometimes I say that if you give someone a camera, you give them a completely automatic camera, like on a cell phone, and they take a picture, it will still be their picture. It will be their work of art. And the only thing they did was just point and hold and select like the little frame, right? And they still feel that they created something. With music, if you go too far down the line and make everything automatic, people don't feel that they created the music. And we're all about creating music. So I think that we will need to keep a bit of complexity. There should be a little bit of a hurdle, you know, like in learning to play a guitar or a keyboard. We'll just try to continue and refine that and just see what we can do to help people just have more fun and sound even better. Then there's going to be, there are all kinds of things happening right now, which is important for us. I don't know about 10, I've never known about 10 years, but there are a couple of things that are happening right now. We had a really stable infrastructure in terms of, you know, it was the same platforms. It was basically Mac OS and Windows. Now things are happening on mobile platforms, and that's really exciting. How's that going to fit in? That's a big challenge for us to figure that one out. There's also stuff happening with internet technology, like, you know, the whole cloud thing, and where does that fit in with music making? So, you know, lots of things to figure out.
Interesting.
But it's all cool.
We have a question from the back. Do you have cloud software, anything online?
Stuff that's online. We don't. Our stuff runs locally on machines still, right? I think it's going to be like that for some time. We don't have any web-based music. There have been a few initiatives of making web-based music systems. It's sort of now that it's happening that you can make them technically, you know, powerful enough. I don't think it matters too much. You know, it'll be a device, it'll be a screen, and there'll be stuff on there, and you can play it. The cool thing, I think, is though with the portable stuff that you can actually sort of touch your music, and you know, we're going to come even closer to actually transforming the computer or whatever we want to call it, the device, into the musical instrument itself. Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
The question is about collaboration and sharing on the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of things you can. I mean, the funny thing is, a few years ago, we were obsessed with processing power, right? So that was the big obstacle for us. If we wanted to do really good sounding stuff, the problem for us was with having computers that were fast enough. That really isn't a problem anymore. So for a while there, the thinking was, okay, maybe if we can use computers, you know, distributed something, that would be the solution for doing more stuff. Felt like you were doing it locally, but it was actually happening somewhere. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the direction we're seeing is exactly what you're talking about. It has more to do with the document than the actual creation of sound, right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions at this time. Thank you very much, Ernst.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Tack så mycket.
Oh, tack. Thank you.